Morning, guys. You should have your new lovely sourdough culture there now. So what I did is I sent you 250 grams of this stuff. So it is probably very, very hungry and you will want to feed it now. So get it in a container that's big enough. Set it on your scale and turn your scale on. That'll zero it out. So I sent you 250 grams and you will want to feed it 250 grams of bread flour or all-purpose flour in the starter, it really doesn't matter, and 250 grams of water. Stir it up and then stick it in the fridge, all right? That's all you do. Tear. All right, 250 grams. Oh, I said stick it in the fridge. Don't stick it in the fridge. There you go, there's 250 grams. And you guys are on a city water supply, so if you have a lot of chlorine, you may want to consider getting bottled water for this. All right, there we go, 250 grams of water. Stir it all together. So I know Lori and I both like really sour sourdough. So if you want it sour, oops. Anyway, if you like it sour like Lori and I do, mix it all up and set it on the counter overnight or at least 9 hours. Doesn't really matter when you do it. But if you like it sour, leave it out on the counter and stick it in the fridge after that for 3 to 4 days. Okay? If you don't want it all that sour, you can use it right away after it's sat for about 9 hours on your counter. So mix it up in the night before, make your dough in the morning, and you'll be fine. But if you want it sour, fridge 5 days. Keep in mind, this thing will grow by at least 3 times. This one's already been growing a bit since I realized the error in my previous clip. So be sure your container is big enough to handle 3 times the volume once you've got it mixed up. Otherwise, you'll have sourdough goo all over your counter. Your starter has had at least 3 days in the fridge. So now you will need your scale, some water, flour, and some salt. All right, so we'll get it going, put that on and tear it. Now you're gonna need 500 grams of your starter. Not talking to you, honey. 500 grams of starter. Right about like, and when your starter comes out of the fridge, you might have some kind of grayish, brownish liquid on top. It's called hooch, not a problem. Just stir it in, make sure it's all well stirred in before you try to do this part. Then tear. You will need 350 grams of water. That was not enough. 350. Okay. Plus or minus 5 grams is not a big deal. Okay, then 25 grams of salt. Plus or minus 5 grams is a big deal on this one. Doesn't matter what kind of salt you use, because you're going by weight. Okay. There you go. Now get that all stirred up and then we'll come back for the flour in a minute. All right. Sorry, had to offload photos so I had room for more videos. Anyway, your mixture is well stirred up. Tear your scale. Now you need 700 grams of bread flour. Got to be at least 12% gluten. Got to be the good stuff. 700 grams. Okay. All right, that's all you need your scale for. Now you need just a clean work surface. Start with just a spoon. If you guys have a KitchenAid, you can do this in the KitchenAid with the dough hook for 2 minutes. Otherwise, you're gonna have to do it by hand. So stir it up until you can't stir anymore. Just know that this is gonna be a really sticky dough. the whole way through this process. And that's normal, okay? So turn it out on your clean surface and you can't see what's going on here at all. Okay, that's fine. So what you want to do for kneading is fold it and press it in. It doesn't really matter for your technique here. I just like to rotate it. The whole point of kneading the dough is to make sure that the flour gets hydrated. So it doesn't develop your gluten or anything like that. The enzymes in the dough do that. So all you got to do is make sure that your flour is getting really well hydrated. So do this for 2 or 3 minutes. Okay. This is kind of fun. We have the KitchenAid, obviously. We had the bowl there, but I like doing it by hand. I think it's kind of fun to feel the dough stretch and come together. And you can be rough with it. It doesn't matter, it's just dough. All right, there's a minute. All right, see how it's already starting to come together? It's a little less shaggy now. That's a good start. Okay, and that's about 2 minutes. So now it goes back in the bowl. And I'll see you in 15 minutes. Okay, so that was your 15 minutes. And what we're doing next is called a stretch and fold. So go ahead and scrape it out of the bowl. And you are going to do this stretch and fold 3 times. So this is just a dough scraper, not necessary, but really helpful. So what this does is, again, it makes sure that all of your flour gets nicely hydrated, okay? So you're gonna scoop it under, stretch, fold, and you're gonna do that all 4 directions. Stretch, fold, stretch, fold. Last time, stretch, and fold. All right, you're gonna do that 3 times. So I will come back and see you in another 15 minutes. And like I said, it's sticky. Don't worry if you're gonna have to wash your hands after every time, okay? It's all good. Okay, stretch and fold number 2. All right, I don't know if you can tell, but it is starting to get a little smoother now. It's not quite as ragged. All right, that's a good thing. But it is still very sticky. If you're feeling ambitious, you can do the stretch and folds in the bowl. I've never found it working quite as well, so I do it on the table. All right, see you in 15. That was number 2. Okay, round 3. This is the last of the stretch and folds. All right, and you can see how much nice and smooth. It's gotten a lot smoother, not quite as shaggy and ragged. Still very sticky, and that's a good thing, okay? So that's your 3 stretch and folds. Now you're going to cover that with whatever your favorite non-air permeable membrane is. Plastic wrap, whatever. If you have wax cloth, I don't care. It doesn't matter, just as long as the air can't get through and dry it out. Okay. So now you leave that sit for 40 minutes. It's also a great time to feed your starter for next time. That's 40 minutes. That's it for today. Stick that in the fridge. I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning. Take your stuff out of the fridge. And now wait 2 hours. Okay, I think we're ready. It's been 2 hours. This is looking beautiful. It's risen just a little bit, not much. So what you're gonna need is your sourdough. I have to do this in 2 sheets because my oven just isn't big enough. So 2 sheets, we'll do 4 loaves. You'll need some cornmeal to sprinkle on this so that the dough doesn't stick to it. A little bowl of water, just in case for your hands to help with the stickiness of the dough. So each square of parchment gets some cornmeal. You will also need your dough scraper or a knife or something. Any rings that can get gooey. Okay, so tip it out onto your clean work surface. And for this size, I do 4 small loaves. Just makes it easier to share with neighbors since you got to make this stuff so often. All right, so there's a couple ways. What you want to do now is what's called enrobing. So you want to take that dough and tuck everything up into the top, and what you'll end up with, eventually, keep going for a while. You ever made mozzarella? It's a similar process. Tucking everything up into the top here to get a smooth, stretched skin. You want to create tension on this skin. And once you've got that, then you set it seam side down on top of that cornmeal. Okay, just like that. You can do it on the countertop too, by pulling it towards yourself and then tucking it in the back. If it gets way too sticky, you can use a little bit of water. But you'll feel it when it starts to form that nice skin. Be gentle with it, you don't want to tear it. If it's way too sticky, a little bit of water. This is probably the hardest part of the process, so be gentle on yourself. It takes some time to get the hang of it. All right, there you go. Now, this gets a long ferment on the counter. It gets about 5 hours. So you will want to use plastic wrap or another gas impermeable thing again. Give it a little spray of olive oil or cooking spray, whatever you've got. I use olive oil, and then cover these well. If you leave them under like a regular tea towel like you would for normal bread, the skin will dry out and they won't expand in the oven well. Okay, so let me show you real quick. You can see on this guy, I will poke and it's gonna bounce right back. When these are proof, after about 5 or 6 hours, depending on your temperature, you'll poke and the dent will stay. That's when you bake. All right, see you in 5 hours. All right, it has been 5 hours. Flour your finger. Poke. Poke. And the dent stays. It is time to bake. 425. Preheat well. It has been 5 hours. This bread is ready to cook. I showed you the pokey staying. So now you'll need a razor blade. You can use a bread knife, whatever. I have a cup of water in the microwave, boiling, getting ready to go in the oven. Okay, so now you'll need to slash, do it deep, about an inch deep, well, maybe a half an inch deep. Slash, slash. I just do a cross shape. You can get fancy if you want. And
they turn out beautiful.
This is on a pizza peel. I highly recommend getting one of those. And I use tongs to help slide this into the oven. Once I get them in the oven, I will pour the cup of boiling water into the cast iron pan with the lava rocks that make steam, that makes these guys puff up beautifully.
And just a warning, they will get like big.
Go to the oven. And here we go. He's using tongs to take the paper. Now he's taken water they heated in the microwave. He's putting over the lava rocks. And all that steam, that's gonna make a nice crust.
Love